Welcome back to the Daily Thunder podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Woods. I'm here with Daily Thunder beat writer Brandon Rabar. It is just past midnight on the East Coast on Thursday morning, and the Thunder just lost in double overtime to the Milwaukee Bucks. Brandon, you were at the game. You just left a lot of post-game shenanigans, to-dos. How are you?
I am bummed for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is what I am. I think there was a lot to take from this game. The young core showed out tonight. Probably Josh Giddey's best game of the season. Actually, for sure, easily Giddey's best game of the season. Probably Trey Mann's best game of the season. Poku was great tonight. Dort, some good, some bad. Jalen Williams looked really good. But my main takeaway is I'm just bummed for Shai. To hit that shot, a three with the hand in your face over a defender, 0.6 seconds left, 999 times out of 1,000. That's a game winner. And everybody's talking about it on NBA Twitter and social media, and he's getting all his flowers. And he should be getting that right now. So I'm just bummed for Shai. That's my main takeaway tonight.
It was another phenomenal game from Shai. 39 points on 25 shots, 13 for 25. He hit 2 threes, went 2 for 5. We'll talk about his threes in a minute. Obviously, the three at the end was just outstanding. It's the cold-blooded stuff you see from elite players in the league. No screen, just one-on-one, go get a bucket. And he got a great look. To be honest, I didn't think he was going to take a three. I thought he was going to try and get to the basket like we had seen him do a bunch during the game. Played 46 minutes. I mean, there were only 58 total minutes in tonight's game, and he played 46 of them. Ton of time on the floor. 4 assists, 4 rebounds. I don't know what else to say about it. He was just really, really good. He was very good on the defensive end again. Early in the game, he had a strip steal under the basket that turned into a layup for him on the other end. Just stuff that just really, really good stuff. Not many players in the league are doing what he's doing right now. It's kind of weird to score 39 and your scoring average doesn't go up all that much. He's just putting in game after game. I'll tell you who's not putting in game after game is whatever that officiating crew was. You were at the game. What was their? I mean, they had a lot, but what sequence or what moment stands out the most for you from that crew?
I mean, I don't even know where to find. There's so many of them. And being in the arena, you actually are kind of at a disadvantage because you don't see the on TV replays and breakdowns. You just see the big in arena replay, and they just show it, a couple times from one angle. So it's harder for us to see some of those things. So we can just kind of, we're kind of influenced by the crowd too. You got thousands of people yelling, "Refs, you suck," and then you're watching this replay. You're like, "Yeah, you do suck." I mean, you don't know. Even if you're media, you're seeing this. So from my perspective, for instance, the lob to Brook Lopez that ended up being the biggest factor of the entire game with 0.2 seconds left. They lobbed it in to Brook Lopez, and he was fouled by Lou Dort. Well, from my vantage point, it didn't look like a foul, and on the replay that we saw, it didn't look like a foul. But then I've heard also that it was a legit foul, so I didn't know what to think there. So that's kind of how it is. From my vantage point, there were several questionable calls, just utter confusion, and what's going on, especially down, in the clutch. But then gauging by, Thunder social media, not the Thunder social media, but fans, and and things like that.
Admin popping off.
Right. Refs, you suck. But yeah, apparently that was the case. That it wasn't just from our limited vantage point, but it was a cluster all the way around. It seemed like from every perspective.
Well, I do think Dort fouled him. I do think Dort fouled Lopez there at the end of what was that, right? The end of the first overtime.
Yeah, the end of the first overtime. Yeah,
it did. I felt I didn't have any issues, honestly, after how many times we saw it. Dort was kind of backing into him while he was in midair. Like he's kind of defenseless at that point. Like he's in his shooting motion and he's like being kind of boxed out while off of his feet. So I didn't have any real issue with that call. We've praised Dagnall like pretty much exclusively on this podcast over the last couple of years. Like I think this is the first time I was like, bro, like that's all that they had. Like a lob to Lopez was all that was ever going to happen. They seemed unprepared for that possibility, and it was unfortunate that ended up being what cost them.
Yeah, it really is a bummer. Like put Poku there, put with his length, just so it's not a clean catch and shoot. Put Mike Muscala there. Like those are your two options, maybe Jeremiah Robinson Earl, but really just 0.6 seconds. It's so hard to catch a ball and shoot it accurately. I mean, like you're not really worried about an outside. Like you want them to try to catch and shoot like a defended three. Like the only thing you have to worry about, like you said, is that Brook Lopez lob. And so it really is. It just goes back to me. Like it's just a bummer for Shea more than anything.
Yeah.
Like ultimately, this just gives the Thunder more ping pong balls for Wembanyama. You know, it's not like this crushing, heartbreaking loss. It's just a heartbreaking loss for Shea and for the team because they fought back again. Once again, we've seen all season. They were down 12. They were down, double digits in those last few minutes. They had a furious comeback, and they just worked so hard. There's young teams, so I'm bummed for them, for the players themselves,
yeah.
But ultimately for the franchise, it just gives the Thunder a little bit better shot at Scoot and Wembanyama and those guys. But in the moment, I feel for those guys. But yeah, the race.
There's just so much confusion.
Everywhere. Like it was, even Dagnall himself, he never ever questions the rest. He's just said he was more frustrated with kind of like the. I don't want to misquote him, and I can't remember exactly, but the gist of it was kind of like the chaotic confusion. What's going on? Like
I think he mentioned the word procedural things. Like
it was something like that. Yeah.
It was there was such a glaze over all three officials tonight. Like they kept looking at each other for answers, and that's never what you want to see. Like there seemed like such a lack of control. And sometimes when you hear that, it's like it was a chippy game and the refs lost control of it. Like there was none of that. They just looked totally confused. They looked like they didn't, like they couldn't anticipate what was coming. Like things were moving way too fast for them. The and one that was then called back, like the and one gets like the foul gets called. It's a bang bang. Like did Shea push off? Did he not? That got reviewed, and it was deemed to be unsuccessful. But they also looked and saw that Shea had landed, and they took some shots. You know how they'll show the replay center during a replay, and there were multiple refs like that you would know by name. I'm blanking on one guy's name, but he was clearly like in charge of like the ruling from their end of things, and he was saying like you could see him motioning two shots, and like I guess we just get to go back and like rejudicate anything that happened in the play. When that's not what they challenged. And like, how closely did we look at, did he land beforehand? And like, first of all, it took him like 15 seconds just to call it an and one, and then a lot of persuading just to get that call, and then they go to replay to challenge a block charge and come back with and again, like, that's probably the right call at the end, but like, it took so many people like asking for what they wanted for you to come to that conclusion. And it, like, the way the guy would walk over and like put his hand on the mic and like say what he wanted to say, none of it sounded like he had a lot of confidence or conviction in anything that was happening. It all looked like it was passing him by so fast. So yeah, it was rough. I know, like, there are probably people like screaming like, well, what about this call? Like, I'm forgetting multiple things because it's been now a little bit since the game ended. But
well, I know another one I want to mention just real quickly and get your vantage point, since you got to, see more replays and angles and stuff than I did. The Trey Man 3 that got taken off. It was a Mike
thank you for reminding me. Yes.
It was a Mike Muscala screen where Grayson Allen fell. That would have been a huge bucket. That could have been a game changer. And again, I feel bad for Trey. He had 2 threes that were made that were taken off the board tonight. He was 5 of 9 from 3, but he really should have been 7-11 from 3 tonight. He had 2 taken off by kind of like bang bang fouls, it seemed like.
Yeah, that one. Like, did Muscala move over just a hair? Yes. Is that called like more than half the time in that scenario? No.
Right.
And let me remind you of a scenario where it wasn't called. Tim Duncan, Game 6 in Oklahoma City, Western Conference Finals. Derek Fisher is guarding Ginobili, coming up from the exact same spot on the exact same end of the floor. Tim Duncan literally like did the cha-cha slide into Derek Fisher. Derek Fisher, like, I mean, he didn't even have to sell it, but he did. Like, he got rocked by a Tim Duncan shoulder. And Ginobili hits the go-ahead 3. Like, maybe it was a 3 to tie. I can't remember, but yeah, like that stuff happens, and it did wipe out. Like, it is rough because like it wasn't even necessary. Like, Trey Man,
it didn't affect the play at all.
It didn't free up Trey Man. Like, Trey was open already. The ball was already in his hands when he was, setting that screen.
Right.
Was it like that? Like, it's the kind that goes one way or the other. They called it against him. It was really frustrating, especially if like the first thing you think of is that exact same call done going against you, and like it was far less egregious, like far less. That could have easily been a no call. I would go so far as to say it typically isn't called for as little as he moved. He glanced over to make contact and it got called. But yeah, that one was really, really bad.
Yeah, that was bad. That took 3 points off in a crucial time. It kind of essentially ended the game. It felt like once that was taken off, and like you said, it didn't affect the play at all. Those plays happen all the time. So it was just a bunch of that, like down the stretch, and it just felt like they were game turning calls. To Shai's credit, he was asked about it in post game, and he said, they're humans just like us. Hey, they make a lot of right calls too. So, good guy Shai, saying the right thing, always classy. But yeah, I know it's frustrating for Thunder fans. And I want to say this too. It was fun. It was like you weren't watching a rebuilding team. It was like you're watching a team that's fighting for the playoffs because the fans were so into it tonight. Like, Loud City's been really loud.
It was noticeably loud tonight. Like,
very loud.
Like, it was like the Shai 3 going in felt very, very like nostalgic. It was very like it popped on the screen.
Yeah, it felt that way in the arena. It felt like, the old, peak Ford Center days tonight. And even when the fans were yelling refs, you suck, like it kind of like, you don't usually see that from a rebuilding team.
And I was trying to think, like, I feel like the last time the place chanted ref, you suck, like it's been a minute. Like I was trying to think, did they do it after like the Bucks game where Giannis stepped on the baseline on the
Oh, I
go
guess
ahead layup?
that's like one maybe the all time egregious call against OKC.
Like I was trying to think like I think they're getting their fastball back. Like this is very it's been a long time since we've heard these chants. It was a good crowd.
It was a very good crowd, and I'll say this, like, you know, the Thunder have been an entertaining team this year, and they've had a lot of these comebacks. They've had a lot of good wins and close calls. So the team has been entertaining, and I got to give it up to Loud City. They've really brought it this year. Like when the team has been entertaining and competitive, they've really gotten to the games, and maybe more so tonight than any other game.
This is super, super random, but the league pass that I have, I don't see ads. It just stays on the arena feed. You know what I mean? Like it never leaves the arena. So like when stuff, like the kiss cam and like dance cam, I see all of that. And I've seen the same people. I'm starting to see like the same couples on Kiss Cam. Nice. I'm like, hey, season ticket holders are really showing up. Nobody's selling their tickets. Like these people are in it. So we've mentioned there. I did want to get the officiating out of the way early because there is more to talk about. Brandon, the pass that Josh made to Lou Dort at the end of regulation, that is such an insane pass. Like Dagnall drew up another incredible play. This was after another interesting officiating moment. They missed the ball clearly didn't hit the rim because Lou Dort decided to not hit the rim at all from like the 2-minute mark of the fourth quarter to the end of second overtime. There was no rim for Lou Dort.
Right.
And his three that would have put them ahead, misses everything. And Giddey, who we'll talk about in a minute, makes an incredible hustle play, gets it back out to Trey Mann, who then turns the corner and is like at the foul line, about to go up for a shot. The shot ended up going up, but after the whistle, they blow the whistle with like 2.5 seconds left on the shot clock to discuss if they need to reset the shot clock.
That was crazy. That was probably in arena. That was the most confusing. We had no idea what was going on. It took a while to figure out.
Yeah.
The in arena announcer finally let us know. It's so funny, because you're media and you think, you're, but a lot of times we're clueless is what I'm saying. We don't know what's going on.
If you go back and look at it, these officials get together and one looks mad at the other for blowing the whistle. Like one knew that it shouldn't have been blown. And then, so now they have to cover for each other. Like, yeah, we blew the whistle. Now we got to go make it look like we meant to, and we had reason to. So they go look at it. It's not even close. Like you won't hear me say this often, but props to Chris Fisher for making it. He legitimized it as much as he covered for him as much as he could, that the ball might have, no, not even close. He almost shot it out of bounds. Like that's how far over the rim he shot it. So Josh throws it back out, and it really hurt the Thunder theoretically in that they now have to take the ball out with 2.5 seconds left on the shot clock or whatever. And right before they handed the ball to Josh, I was like, this is probably fine. They're probably just going to get a layup out of this because Josh is the inbounder, and he threw it behind everyone. If you're listening, go pause it when Josh takes the ball back and look where Dort is. He's like almost still above the free throw line, and he still has 2 defenders to run past. And Josh is already like, the ball's coming out. It was astonishing. I was just laughing from the time he threw it through the timeout. Like that is an amazing play and amazing pass. Like his anticipation and accuracy is phenomenal.
You know what's great about that? He was asked about that pass because I thought all the same things that you thought. He was asked about it in the post game, and he said, those passes look a lot harder than they actually are, which is even more impressive to me that it's like so nonchalant. Like, oh, that wasn't that hard a pass. That was just an easy pass for me. He's kind of like Will Hunting, like in Good Will Hunting, when he's like, you know how easy this is for me, like something that we think is hard. That was Josh Giddey making those passes. So Josh Giddey had by far his best night tonight. You know, he's kind of been, I'll say, critiqued so far in this kind of short sample size season so far. But tonight, all those offensive rebounds, just time after time down the stretch, he just kept giving the Thunder more opportunities. And he said, his shot wasn't falling. So he wanted to impact in another way, and he did. Like, without all those offensive rebounds, that game doesn't go into overtime, and it doesn't probably go to a second overtime as well. He made a lot of huge plays with his hustle, but then he hit some shots too. He struggled big time in the first half, but the second half and then down the stretch when the Thunder were making that comeback, he made a bunch of big shots. A lot of those kind of push shots, floaters, mid-range, in the paint, at the rim. Josh was great tonight. His overall shooting numbers, I think it was like 9 of 19 for 18 points. So that doesn't exactly scream great efficiency. It's fine. But it's when he made those baskets and when he turned it on, and really the offensive rebounds. And like you said, those big winning plays like that pass to Lou and a couple other passes. He was really, really good tonight. I
was going to ask, because it felt, the first half to me felt like more of the same that we've seen. I was like, man, we're getting another kind of a disjointed game for Josh. This is a bummer. I wonder if he's going to close the game. And it looked like for a minute that he wasn't. And then he came and got, I think, Trey for the last like 4 minutes or so. I think Trey was reinserted. But he came back, I think, with like 440 left. And it felt like those last few minutes, it felt like really salvaged his night. That was from my perspective. Did you feel like he had already like done enough to kind of like change the way that we talk about his game, like prior to that, or was it just those last few minutes? Because it seemed to me like a lot of his contribution was just so much of it right there at the end, like the offensive rebounds, the steal for that Dort lay-in that I think got it to 2, maybe even tied it. I can't remember, but it seemed like a lot of positive stuff from Josh right there at the end. Was it all there, or was there more stuff prior to that you were encouraged by?
There was a few plays I was encouraged by. Really, his overall second half play I thought was fairly strong. But yes, most of it came, had he not done what he did in that flurry of a comeback in the last couple minutes regulation, and then again in overtime and double overtime, like especially the whole team kind of struggled that second overtime. And I think that was just, they were winded. They'd played a lot of minutes, and they had to really, really fight to come back. So they exerted a lot of energy. But yeah, the last few minutes of regulation and that first overtime, I think Josh was a huge factor, and absolutely that's what really made his night a really, really good night, or were those moments. And that's what you want to see from Josh. And hopefully that'll kind of help him get out of, the funk that he was in. And I think some of that's been kind of like a little bit overstated. I don't think he's been terrible this season by any means. He just hasn't been what he was last year. And you're hoping to see like a leap, like, an upward trajectory. And a lot of that is just kind of usage. He missed a couple of games, and, he hasn't had the ball as much and things like that. But he found a way tonight, even without the ball, to affect the game. And then when he did have the ball, he affected the game in crucial moments too. Good night for Josh.
I was really encouraged by him just taking smaller guys down to the block and just hitting that push shot over him. Like that can be such a weapon for him because we're seeing a lot of guards in these lineups. There's going to be smaller guys on him from time to time, and his willingness and ability to back down guys is very encouraging. I thought that was one of his strong points tonight, was just the awareness to take a smaller guy into the paint.
Yeah, and he mentioned that in the post game as well. He brought that up specifically, and again, I think that's such an advantage for him when you're playing point guard or shooting guard, and you're 6'8", 6'9". Like that's what you got to do. Like you got to take advantage of mismatches. If they're putting a 6'4" dude on you, a 6'3" dude on you, you need to be able to go down and score. And he did that tonight, and hopefully we'll see even more of that. You want to find ways for Giddey to be efficient scoring, especially if he's going to be playing some off the ball. And I think that's one of the ways that he can do it.
Are you, I'll ask you like this, like scale of 1 to 10, where's your concern level with the, I guess the awkwardness between, is he on the ball when Shai's on the floor? Like where are you at with the two of them, kind of coexisting at the same time?
Yeah. I mean, I'd say it's a slight concern. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a big concern by any means whatsoever. I think this is so early in the evolution of this team and of these two players working together, because you got to think, even last year, Josh's rookie year, he missed a lot of games, and then Shai missed a lot of games, and they were separate. Yeah. So they didn't play together a lot of the times. And, you got to think the first half of that season, they were just kind of throwing lineups out there. And the second half is where they really decided, okay, we want, to kind of stagger and to share the ball and things like that. But then they didn't get to play with each other very much at all. So, and then even this season, Shai missed a game, Josh missed a few games. It's a slightly funky fit because each of them needs the ball in their hands to be most effective. I mean, Shai taking this kind of all-star leap, you could even argue superstar leap, the way he's been playing. If he keeps this up, he's playing at a superstar level. He needs the ball. I mean, he does. He can score off the ball, and he can play off the ball. And Josh can play off the ball. But for Josh to be most effective, he needs the ball as well. I think they'll figure out. They're very unselfish guys. They want to make it work. They're both talented guys. I trust Mark Daigneault to figure it out. I think one of the missing elements is Chet. Chet is supposed to be kind of that connector piece, that glue piece. It's supposed to be a big three, a young big three, but, they're the three core pieces right now at this moment. That could change, that they're building around. Change in that, maybe they get somebody this year to add to that, or maybe somebody like J-Dub or Man like emerges and kind of like breaks away from the crowd or whatever. I would say it's a slight concern because you do want them both to have the ball as much as possible, and you want them to be able to play together because, right now they're, in theory, the two most talented guys on the team playing. So, but Josh needs to lead a unit. Shai needs to lead a unit. It's so early on, I wouldn't worry about it, but it's worth talking about.
Another guy that was phenomenal tonight was Tre Mann. 21 points, 5 of 9 from 3, 8 of 16 from the floor. He played 36 minutes. The shot looked really, really good tonight. Very comfortable. He's still doing, all the same things, getting great separation. Was really, really impressed with his minutes, especially late.
Yeah, Tre was really good. And to go back to Josh and Shai, because we brought up Tre Mann, Tre was great tonight. His shooting, he has the ability to hit shots like this. Like, I think he's a great shooter, and his numbers so far this season don't show that, but he hit, 35%, high volume as a rookie. I believe in his shot. But the whole idea behind this Thunder team going forward is they want all these guys to be able to handle the ball. They want them all to be playmakers. That's like kind of the new prototype, guys that can handle, high IQ, team oriented, pass the ball, everybody shares. It's just the thing is Shea is breaking out as this like superstar ISO scorer, one-on-one, can get a bucket anytime he wants. So there's just this balance. But, you got Trey who can handle, you got J-Dub who can handle, Dort can handle, Poku can handle. Like, you got all these guys, and that's the idea. And that's a good thing. I think it's a good thing, and it's going to be a positive long term. They just got to figure it out. It's a good problem to have that Shea is breaking out to become this star. They just got to figure out how, to make work, and I trust that they will.
Poku was such a good piece on defense tonight. His rim protection, the way he stays disciplined. Brook Lopez is such a large human, and Poku did a really, really good job of making things tough, rim protecting, helping on defense, knowing when to rotate and maybe stunt, maybe show a double, and then get back. He was really impressive. His wingspan allows him to cover a lot of ground, get to shots that I think a lot of guys that are going in for shots are not thinking that he can get to, and he's erasing a lot of stuff at the rim, and is starting to. I think it's going to start to pay off in that guys just aren't going to try him as much. He's been someone that guys have tried a lot in the past, like especially his rookie year. But it's a different guy on the defensive end. Like his absence was really felt on the defensive end in the games that he missed. And it was a huge bonus to have him back tonight. He was really good on top of just shooting the ball well. Like, I'm looking at 10 rebounds, 4 of 7 from 3, played 39 minutes, only picked up 1 foul, scored 17, 10, 2 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. He was really, really good.
Poku was really, really good. He made his first 4 3-pointers. He's affecting the game in like every area.
Yeah.
Whether it's rebounding, assists, points, spacing, shooting, and really, like you said, like his weak side help defense, and like the Thunder without Chet Holmgren don't have a true center right now. Like, you could argue JRE and Muscala are really naturally power forwards more than centers. Moose maybe a center, but he's not a beefy guy. He's not a stout dude. And Poku's kind of been put in this position, especially tonight against Brook Lopez, defending the post some. He's defending on the perimeter, and he's been capable. Like, he really has. Like, he's transforming into a legit NBA player. Like, a couple of games you can be like, okay, broken clock. It's right twice a day. Like, all the jokes that you want to make about Poku is. But when you take the last couple months of last season and the beginning of the season, like, the sample size is growing and growing and growing, and then preseason and things like that. Like, it's his awareness. It's just the way he sees the game. You can tell he's a smarter player on the court, and he's a better player on the court. I've been really, really impressed by Poku. Like, you can make the argument. I'm not making the argument, but you could make the argument that he's been the Thunder's overall second best player this season, like most consistently second best player behind Shea this season. I'd have to look at the numbers and look at the game logs and things like that. But it feels like in a lot of these wins and close losses, Poku has been the second best player on a lot of nights.
You mentioned
and I don't know. He probably didn't end up being the second best player tonight after the last of the regulation and overtimes. But for 3.5 quarters, he was the second best player tonight.
You mentioned the kind of the lack of a center. JRE he started, but only played 13 minutes. Saw more minutes from Kenrich Williams, more minutes from Jalen Williams, more minutes from Muscala and Trey Mann. So 4 players off the bench saw more playing time than Jeremiah. And we should mention Baisley went out with an injury after only playing 4 minutes. Looked like he came down on Brook Lopez's foot, ankle sprain. I think it's his right ankle. Did they say anything else about that post game?
No, nothing post game. Hopefully, Baisley's going to be okay because they actually really could have used Baisley.
Yeah, I was going to say I think they probably would have played him a lot more in this game.
Yep, it was a perfect game for Baisley. They really needed his size, defense, rebounding, shot blocking. They could have he's been a positive role playing, shot blocking, defensive gadget player, bench player this season. Like he's been a net positive, I feel, for the Thunder this year. So I do think he was missed tonight. They could have really used him, down the stretch.
The minutes from JRE were short, and I'm curious to know your thoughts on like starting someone like him or Muscala, but just playing essentially 4 guards most of the game.
Yeah, it's again they're just lacking size with Chet hurt and losing Bays early on. I would have thought we would have seen more of JRE, but Daniel truly seems to be kind of riding the hot hand. Like if you're playing well in a game, he's going to keep riding you. And right. I like that. Like if you earn those minutes within that game, and JRE's earned minutes in a lot of these games. He's been a really good threat from 3-point range. And of course we know he's like a good connector. Glue guy, does all the little things. But Poku was playing really well tonight. Trey Mann was playing really well tonight. So those guys just continue to play. I think that they believe in the whole positionless basketball thing. And then when you got guys like, Shea is long for a guard. Josh is really big for a guard. And then Poku, his wingspan and things like I think that they can live with not playing, another big like a JRE down the stretch because they feel like they can get by with some of their length and wingspans and other positions.
Jalen Williams had a great block tonight. I think it was Dort. Dort got beat, guy going baseline, and Jalen met him, anticipated it well, came over, and just raked it away. I think it ended up being a wedgie. Actually, I think Dort got a hand on it after the block, but yeah, I think Dagnall is challenging all of these guys. Like we're obviously playing without a traditional big. You're all tasked with defending the rim, whether that's just great defense on the perimeter or challenging guys that are going up for shots, and they all have incredible length to do that. It's funny, we're saying a lot of the same things we said last year, like not really playing much of a traditional center. Like how cool would it be like if next year this is where like Chet, just kind of a role that's just perfectly suited for him to slide into. And we're saying the same things this year, except Chet's over there sitting on the bench, hopefully absorbing a lot of great rookie year type things. Even though he's not playing, it's crazy. I sound like a broken record sometimes talking about centerless lineups, but he's just sitting over there ready, waiting to be unleashed.
Yeah, it really has. That's what's kind of fun about this Thunder team. I think like with this roster, with all these young guys. Like any given night, it seems like another one can pop up. I'm excited about J-Dub. I'm excited about, like, I thought he had a really good night tonight. Like overall, like, he didn't play a lot of minutes, but when he was in there, I felt like he was a positive. And, like tonight was like Trey Mann and Poku. There's been nights where it's JRE. There's been nights where it's, there's just so many. I don't feel like we've had a Lindy Waters game yet, but
Isaiah Joe.
Yeah, Isaiah Joe. Yeah, like an Isaiah Joe. That's what's fun about like this deep roster with these young guys. Like any given night, you don't know. Like every night, Shea's going to bring it. But it's kind of fun to see which of these guys go off on any given night. And I think that, like Ousmane Dieng, he dominated a G League game earlier today, so he didn't play tonight, but I feel like there's going to be an Ousmane Dieng game at some point, down the road. And I think each of these guys are talented. They're young, but they're talented enough to go off on any given night.
So this was what, loss number 4 in a row for the Thunder?
4 in a row. That was the other bummer because it's 4 in a row now for the Thunder, and it really probably should have been, an end to that streak and been a high for these guys.
Last time we were on, they were riding high off of a 4-game winning streak, had taken the record above 500. And again, the schedule is still pretty difficult. But as we've seen, you never know. Guys might be sitting like Giannis tonight. We didn't see Giannis either game this year. And am I right in saying that?
Wait, say it again?
We didn't see Giannis in the first Milwaukee game either.
No, so that's a bummer because
Right.
you only played the Bucks twice, and we didn't get to see Giannis either time.
But
and if you're gonna lose to the Bucks anyways, you'd rather at least get to see Giannis,
right? But yeah, like you're gonna run into teams that sit guys, and those games that you thought were, penciled in L's are all of a sudden very competitive games, and sometimes they're competitive games no matter what. That's just how this team plays. That's how it goes in the NBA from night to night. And next up, Friday night against the Raptors. That's a home game, and that's when right after that game is when they will head out east for a stretch of games. Knicks, Celtics, Wizards, Grizzlies, and then back for the Knicks on the 21st. So an interesting stretch coming up for them. Some winnable, definitely. Some games against that game at Boston will be interesting to see who plays. That's a tough team, good defense. So another thing I'm excited about is just watching Shea. Like I keep thinking, like, tonight, Milwaukee is going to test their defense, really going to test him. No, 39. These teams that you think are going to maybe slow him down a little bit, he's kind of immune. Like he's really elevating into that elite scorer status, and he's doing it a lot without the 3-pointer. It's just really rare. If you look at the guys up at the top of the scoring leaders the last few years, like most of them, aside from maybe Giannis or Embiid, and Embiid, he'll still take them. Like that 3-pointer is a big part of what they're getting. It's amazing what Shea is doing. On a huge diet of 2-pointers, paint shots, and free throws.
Yeah, it really is. And that's why it was nice to see him hit 2 clutch threes. Of course, the one that everybody's talking about that should have been game winner, but he hit one before that too, in that flurry at the end of regulation that got them even a chance to take it to overtime. So he hit 2 clutch threes, and he hit them both in a row. Like he was 0 for 3 on the night, and then hit 2 in a row. But yeah, he's kind of taken the 3-point shot for the most part out of his game. But I've been asked why several times, and I really just think it's because until you can stop him going to the rim or hitting mid-range shots, why take a 3? Like, if you look at his career, he's a 35% 3-point shooter. He's a solid 3-point shooter, and he's much better catch and shoot, open threes. I believe in his shot, absolutely. He just takes a lot of hard ones. He's defended. He creates his own shot all the time. He gets double teams. He was doing that step back for a while, but I think he's a good shooter. But I think it just comes down to he's so efficient in the mid range, and he's so efficient going to the rim. Like, why change it up? It's kind of like in football. Like, if you're running the same play, just run it until the other team can stop you. If the defense can't stop you running up the gut, just keep running up the gut, right? So I think that's just kind of his mentality. They're not able. It's wild too, because teams are packing the paint. Teams are sending double teams. Teams are putting their best defender on him, and it just doesn't matter. He's still scoring at the rim and in the mid range. It's pretty incredible to see, with the least amount of spacing and the most double teams, the most drives, and all those things, that he's scoring at such a high volume so efficiently without the 3-point shot. You just don't see it. I mean, I guess DeMar DeRozan might be the closest comp I could think of, maybe.
Yeah, it does. It does remind me a little bit of the start that DeRozan got off to. I believe it was last year. Just so efficient, and and doing it a lot from a lot of the same places that Shea is. Yeah, it's a good call. All right, we'll wrap it there. We will chat again next week after a few of these games transpire. We'll hit them all. And Brandon, thanks for staying up late and chatting over this one.
Hey, Ryan, thanks for hosting so late.
All right. All right, everybody, take care. We will talk to you next week. This is the Daily Thunder Podcast. If you like this podcast and other Daily Thunder content, please consider supporting us on our Patreon page. For just $5 a month, you get access to our morning roundups of Thunder news, notes, and commentary. It all gets sent to your email automatically, along with our jam-packed weekend edition newsletter that has exclusive and early release content. For $6 or more a month, you qualify for things like free t-shirts, mugs, hoodies, and special live event passes. For more information, visit patreon.com/dailythunder. Thank you for listening to this podcast and for supporting Daily Thunder.